Let's bring in the former Queensland Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk for her thoughts on these matters and more. Good morning, Annastacia. So you've got the former Labor Premiers Bob Carr and Daniel Andrews. They're expected at that military parade today. Do you think they should be going?
Okay, well, let me be very clear and upfront here. There's a difference between trade and going along to a military parade. So if it was me, it'd be a definitely no. I would not be attending that. It just is the next level. It's a bridge too far. I would definitely not be attending. Of course, trade is important. Queensland's largest trading partner is China. I see that Jacinta Allen, the Premier of Victoria, is going to China for trade. These types of trade missions are perfectly acceptable. But let me say this. If you're going to a dinner party and you know the host, that's fine. But if the host tells you who else is going, you can make your mind up to say, I'm not going to that dinner party. So I just think in this case, I respect Dan, I respect Bob, but I think they've just gone the next level. Go there for a holiday, do your business talks, but there's no need to attend this military parade.
So what would be your reason for not attending the military parade? Is it because, as some critics have said, that they are being used as part of China's propaganda machine? Do you agree with that point?
Well, I think it's who else is attending, and it's. I just don't think the people here in Australia looking at that would say that's an appropriate use of someone's time. And also, too, I mean, it's up for them to explain. They're big enough to make their own decisions and to explain what they want to do. But they've been former premiers. They've been held very distinguished careers. This, I think, just sends mixed messages. It's up to them to explain. And I think in this situation, it's better to err on the side of caution. And let me stress again, Peter, trade is one thing. Having business meetings, tourism, going to China for tourism. We have a lot of Chinese tourists coming here. That's all above board. But I just think this is a step too far.
Because the Labor Premier, Jacinta Allen, is now going with other MPs for trade purposes, and given the increasing Chinese vote in Australia, we saw part of that at the last federal election as well, would you now be expecting more of this? Would you even expect, say, David Crisafulli to end up going?
Look, I think it's very important that the Queensland Premier would go to China. During my term, I went nearly every year except for COVID, because our exports mean jobs. There are so many jobs linked to exports, and we are a big trading partner in Queensland, and China is our largest trading partner. And of course, trips to Japan and South Korea are also very important for a Queensland Premier. So trade is one thing, and tourism, but military parades, I would honestly stop and think seriously about that.
But do you think because there are so many Chinese Australians now, would there be a need to go to China to ease the concerns of the Chinese voting bloc here, because it's now so big in Australia?
Oh, I think, look, in Queensland there's a large number of Chinese communities. They've made their home here. They contribute enormously to the economy. Of course, it's respectful in terms of trade. I don't think it necessarily means that you need to be going over there because of the Chinese community. The reason premiers go over is because of the trade, the importance of trade links with China. I see Jacinta Allen's taking a number of MPs that represent those electorates. Look, I don't think there's any inappropriate about that as well. I think it's good for them to actually see the opportunities that exist between China and, say, Victoria.
Let's move on to the topic of immigration. And Nazis aside, I mean, they're all idiots, but there are legitimate concerns about immigration being too high. Even though unemployment remains low, there aren't enough homes. Should the current line be held, or would you be opening up to more immigrants coming to Australia, Annastacia?
I think we just saw recently, it was announced by Tony Burke that they're setting the cap and they're bringing it lower from last year. That's what I read just recently. But look, let's be very important here, be very clear here. A lot of people in Australia have links to other countries. We are a multicultural country, and by and large, it's very respectful. These rallies that we have seen, I think, is a much broader issue about economic insecurity, pressures on housing, which is resonating not just the suburban areas, but right across Australia, especially in regional areas as well, to see this groundswell of anti-immigration. The big issue I find is that many of the workers coming here to Australia are used in industries that, frankly, it's very hard to get people to move into. That is in our abattoirs, in our aged care. We need these workers. And in construction as well. So unless people want to step up and fill those voids, do you want to see your loved one in a nursing home with no one caring for them? Already our aged care numbers are stretched. Look, it's a very complex issue. I know the federal government's giving a lot of serious thought to it. And over the coming days, I'm quite sure we'll hear more announcements about it. But this groundswell of anti-immigration is very concerning, but it is a much deeper feeling of economic insecurity out there in the broader Australian population and those excessive housing stresses as well.
All right. We will leave it there. Annastacia Palaszczuk, good to have you with us this morning. Thank you so much.